Welcome back to another great episode of Comedians in Bed, where comedians can be comedians. I don't really know what that means, but it sounds like something you should say on a podcast here, man. Our next comedian, man, has been doing great things all over the United States of America and then some, man. I'm so excited that we have him on here today, man. I know you guys are going to love this episode. Please give it up for Kevin Bozeman, everybody. Please give it up for Kevin Bozeman. And usually I have like round of applause, but since I'm doing this on my phone, I ain't about to be doing the sound effects and everything today. But what's going on with you, man? How you feeling today?
I'm great, homeboy. Thanks for having me. What's cracking?
Uh, definitely not this mic, but I'm glad we still got you on here today, and thank you for your patience, man. How are you feeling today? It look like you're in a hotel, or you're traveling. You getting you in town?
Yeah, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm about to judge their funniest person in Madison competition.
Okay, okay, that's fine. When you be judging stuff like that, like, what do you look for? Is it all about the jokes, or is it about stage presence, or like, what do you?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Like I look to see who is because they're trying to find like the comedy club is trying to find talent. So that's why I'm looking for them. Like who's the most ready to go up on stage for a weekend to rep the club. Because
Hmm.
when you're a host, you are basically you know, you're not just a comic, you're repping the club. Like, the middle act and the headliners, they're repping themselves. But the host reps the club. The host is like, thank you guys for coming out. We got a great show for you tonight. Here are our drink specials. Here are our upcoming acts. Fill out your comment cards. So they're repping the club. So that's what I'm looking to see. Like who would be the best comic for them to rep the club.
Is it still fun when you do stuff like that?
Yeah, because it just takes you back to like, I like the energy of it. The energy of it is probably the best. And the fact that nobody's doing like 15-minute sets. So I ain't gotta be if it's bad, then like I know it's only gonna be a short time of it being bad. But like 5-minute sets,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Do
could
you
plow through 10 5-minute sets.
do you still get annoyed when you hear comments? Just like, oh man, I'm just ready for this to be over, or like, where do you go mentally for that?
Man, I really don't. Well, for one, I really don't watch stand up like that anymore, even during my show. For one, well, another thing is like the comics that I bring on the road with me are certified, so I ain't really worried about it. I listen to the energy of the room now. So without even listening to the comic, I just trying to listen to the energy and where the crowd is at, like how hard they're laughing and stuff. But I don't. But yeah, I mean, good comedy is hard for me to watch. Let alone horrible bad comedy is. Ugh.
Yeah, I do that at mics or shows. I'll have like headphones on and just listen to like instrumental music just to like calm me down a little bit, and then I'll just have it loud enough just to hear how the audience is like responding to the comic, like if they have good energy or stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody's got their wheelhouse, and I tell people, whatever it is that works for you, because comedy is all about you got to take so many L's in the comedy business that you have to put yourselves in positions to win. And putting yourself in position to win is doing something that works for you. Because a lot of times you might, the heavy hitters, the Bill Burrs and the Dave Chappelle's of the world, they might, or Chris Rocks might be like, hey, this is what I do to get ready. And then you start thinking that's what you need to do, but that might not work for you. So you got to find out your own rhythm and go by that beat.
What's how do you get in the zone before you get on stage?
I mean, part of it is most of the time it's like when you headline is you just got to, people came out to see you. Like your name is on the board and on the marquee. So that right there should automatically be be your motivation. It's like, it's just like people in the league, the NBA, that game 67 and they playing against a scrub squad, but people have paid money to come out and watch them hoop,
Yeah.
and this might be the only time they came out to see you. So you just got to be, I mean, basically, you just got to be a professional.
Mhm.
You got to do your fucking job.
Are there ever some days that you like don't want to do your job? And how do you get out that funk when you get up there?
I mean, a lot of it is the travel. That's when I'm going to the airport, the flight's delayed, flight or get canceled, or something. This travel centric that makes me go, man, fuck this. But once I get to the club and it's on stage, if it's not run right, like if they starting the show late or my opener is doing crowd work or going over his time and the club ain't saying nothing, then that bothers me.
Hmm.
But other than that, just like I said, it's just time to be a professional. But like little things that maybe comics do or the club doesn't do, like if they got people disrupting the show and they ain't on top of it,
Yeah.
that puts me in the mood. But
Yeah.
other than that, but
Do you,
I try not to work many scrub places now. Luckily, I've gotten to a point where I do some funny bones, some improvs. I do some decent clubs
mm,
where I don't have to do a lot of C rooms where the host is also the DJ and the and the bartender. I'm gonna start this show, man. Let me get these drinks out real quick, player. You're like, shit.
no,
God damn it.
I definitely understand that. So, like, when someone's opening up for you, do you not like them to do crowd work because you do crowd work, or you just don't like for people to do crowd work while your
It
show?
depends. It depends on how well I know them. I prefer them not to do crowd work just because um if they lose them, I got to come in and clean up their mess.
Yeah, yeah,
And to me, it's just not. To me, it's just not worth it. Like if I'm giving you a set and I'm giving you 20 minutes, you should be working on polishing up that act anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Like you shouldn't have to be relying on crowd work. But sometimes the audience is out of control, and you got to do crowd work. Like by all means, get your show under control.
hmm
You know, lasso that bull before you get off stage. But if it's just going up to do crowd work just to be doing crowd work, then I'd rather you just polish up your 20 minutes, because if you get them all riled up and you lose them, then
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta come in and clean up the mess.
One thing I noticed, I was looking at your tour schedule for the rest of the year. You'll pretty much you'll hit good spots, and I heard you made a joke about it, like you won't turn down a show. I see that you be having shows in Montana. Like, how is that? How did you like?
I just
What,
feel like my last name is Bozeman, so I
uh,
just have to come to Bozeman, Montana.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
just told him it's just like, I'm coming over to take over my city.
yeah,
The city belongs to me. It's my rightful throne. So I don't even look at it. I don't look at it like that. It's just weird. Like, I do, like when I do mainstream rooms, it's probably 50-50.
hmm,
Like black, white, like 50-50. Like, but when I do, it just depends on how clubs promote. How clubs promote. And like now, a lot of clubs now have gotten off of doing radio because the radio don't hit like it used to, because everybody is just plugging their phone
yeah,
on their way to work. So, but whenever I try to do bigger cities, I always try to hit up, a black radio station to get people out. But in Bozeman, I don't. I mean, I've done it once at a small club, but this time I'm doing a theater.
hmm,
I have no idea what to expect. I don't care. Like we agreed upon the contract, and does the mic work?
yeah.
Then let's do it. So yeah, I got Bozeman, Montana, but I mean, you can't have the last name Bozeman and not do Bozeman, Montana. If there was a Erskine, Alaska, you probably do it.
I would. What and shout out to you for saying my last name right, because that's a struggle for some people.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was just pretty self-explanatory.
You would think, man, people would be saying like Erkins or Erskines, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
nah.
yeah. It's better than foreskin.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so like when you hit like these random cities that people might not know about, never heard of, like what do you plan to do something during that day, or like are you just sitting in the hotel waiting for the show to start?
I try to stay busy because you go stir crazy if you just sit in your hotel room. I try to get a workout in. I try to tour the city. I try to write some jokes about the city. Um, I'll catch a movie. It just
Yeah.
depends on how long I'm in town. So I'm only doing Bozeman. I'm doing Helena one night and Bozeman the next night. So I get in, I'll take a nap, and then I stretch, get a bite to eat, get a little workout in, and then. But if I'm there for, if I'm there for 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days, then my schedule was a little different. I make sure then I get up and go to a coffee shop and write for like an hour or two.
Okay. Okay. These smaller cities, are you taking someone with you? Because I'll be nervous going by myself if I don't know this territory or this land like
I mean, nah, I ain't. I mean, you gotta. I get it. I get it because it's some fucked up places. But if you're a female, you definitely have to. You're a female. You probably should bring like a strong dude to be your middle opener
that.
because it's just a different game for them. But
Yeah.
me, dude, I sometimes I be on that. I wish a nigga would. Shit, anyway, I
No,
wish the nigga I want somebody like it just depends, but I look at it like that. But what I don't do is though like I don't like after the show
hmm
and people be like we're going back to my house. Nope,
yeah,
nope. I ain't going to nobody's crib
yeah,
after the show. Like I'll go to the local watering hole, but I ain't going to nobody's crib. And plus Montana State's out there, so it's a college town. So
mm, yeah, yeah,
they ain't so they ain't all like I ain't gonna be the first one that they seen.
yeah, 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 yeah. There's a couple of athletes out there somewhere. Uh,
Yeah,
so how do you? I looked at your schedule. You already have it scheduled out throughout the whole year. When someone is trying to put out their schedule, trying to get their weekend filled up, I know you send out availables, but being at the level that you're at, do you have to send out availables, or do clubs reach out to you and you get your schedule filled up?
both clubs reach out to me. I just 50-50. I just clubs that I work on a regular. I just be like, hey, here's my dates. What's
hmm
up? And there's a lot of clubs that I go back and try to do like I do uh, around the same time of the year, so that's easier. Like when I'm in Cincinnati, I do it in November, so it's just a matter of figuring out which date in November that I'm gonna do. But then there's some clubs, then there's a booker who books the improvs and funny bones. So when I want to do funny bones and improvs, I just send it out like I'll send out in September for January.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I'll send out like September and January because he'll wait till like 4 months out, start booking. I'll just be like, hey, and I'm generally only looking for 1 or 2 weeks
Yeah.
for them to book for me because I do a lot. I do corporate stuff. I also do a cruise ship, and I also do in clubs, and I don't do as many colleges because I got kids in college, and I don't want to put that kind of stress on them.
Yeah.
I saw your daddy last night.
Are you taking the like, okay, you got 4 quarters in a year? Are you like, okay, this quarter I'm mainly hitting cruise ship, this quarter I'm mainly hitting clubs? Like, are you planning in that way, or is it just random?
Nah, man, it's pretty random, dude. I'm a grinder. I just let the schedule fill out. Like, I just got a call for a gig in Michigan on a Thursday. So I just booked that. So now I'll probably just look to book the weekend somewhere in Michigan.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Somewhere in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, because I just got a call on a Thursday night in Michigan. So now that's gonna make my focus
yeah, yeah.
easier to book. So I take the calls, and then when the calls come in, I kind of figure it out. I go from there.
What what city, like, what comedy scene did you go to that was surprisingly better than what you would have expected? Like, you left and I was like, I had a good time here.
Man, I think Cincinnati is a low key, really good comedy scene. They got some solid comics. I also think Minneapolis is is really good, but I live in Chicago, so
Hmm.
you'd be hard pressed for me to say that there's a better scene than Chicago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I frequently go down to Cincinnati. It's only like an hour from me. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, so I love Cincinnati. I always tell people it's like a low key scene, kind of like DC. Like, you never realize how many people are coming from that scene till you like kind of look it up. So no, I agree. I definitely love Cincinnati. Are you a Bears fan?
Oh yeah, baby, let's go.
You think you're gonna get your franchise quarterback tomorrow?
Listen, man, I'm a guy. I live in Chicago, so I know I've been Bears fan my whole life. I know if there's a team that can fuck this up, if there's anybody that can fuck this up, it's the Bears. It's the Bears. It would not surprise me one bit if Caleb Williams is a bust and Justin Fields goes to the Hall of Fame. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Were you
At
mad when
all.
they let him go?
I was mad at what they got for him.
Yeah, yeah,
I was mad at what they got for him. I
yeah.
mean, uh, uh, like who? Somebody went. Somebody went for more. I think Trey Lance went for more than Justin Fields. It's like, come on, come on. So, uh, yeah, I mean, like I said, I got like this is what I always try to tell people. You can act like you know all you want, but this is how I look at it. These dudes are like the GMs.
Hmm.
They have one of 32 jobs. One of only 32 jobs that exist. All they do is watch film, they interview, they watch more film, they interview, they build a team of, of experts specifically designed for the draft. So whoever they draft, I trust them
Hmm.
because they did work that I didn't possibly even come close to doing. I just watched a game or two on a Saturday and it's like, oh, that dude pretty good. But if they fuck up, then I'm crushing them. I'm crushing them because you watched all you did was watch film.
Yeah.
All you did was interview. How did you like when they fucked up? And like when I think it was the Raiders that drafted Jamarcus Russell. How
Uh,
did you not see that dude had a tremendously poor work ethic?
yeah.
How did you not? How did you not see that? Like so that it's shit like that that makes me go, okay, so that's when I'm gonna crush you. You see when you do all that work and you miss badly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's your prediction for the Bears this upcoming season? Knowing what
17-0 Super Bowl. The fuck? Don't be asking me no dumb shit like that. We going all the way, dog. This us.
That's very hopeful.
17-0. We about to run it. We got wide receivers. We got defensive players. We got a squad. We got the 9th pick, so we might get it might be the 8th pick, depending on what happens with Atlanta. And we get another wide receiver. We could trade back for some draft capital. I'll just, let's go.
Are you excited about getting a new stadium, or is it like that's too far out?
I don't, Doug, I go to so few games. Like,
Yeah,
why would I live in Chicago? Like, why would I want to sit outside
yeah.
in December, November, when I could just be at the crib
Yeah.
with a fucking Jack's Pizza that was 2 for $10, and you charging me $8 for this bullshit slice, and it's cold. I'm just, yeah. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care where they play.
I feel like the only team I can root for here is the Buckeyes. I mean, there's some split fans between the Bengals and the Browns, but they've sucked for so long that I think that's how Ohio State got its fan base.
Oh man, you know what? I mean, I think the Buckeyes was pretty big when Sam White was coaching the Bengals, and they was still like it's still a college atmosphere is just it's
Yeah,
just a college atmosphere. If you a story program like Michigan, Ohio State, you're gonna always have a fan base, but I that's just got to burn. That's just got to burn. Ohio State coach
yeah.
Ryan
Brian Day.
Ryan Day that Harbaugh gave it to him and then bounced, so he was never able to get
Yeah.
his revenge. So even if they go and they go and beat Michigan next year, they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, that's because Harbaugh ain't here.
I've
So
always
that's got to burn. That's
I've
got to
always
burn.
I've always thought that Ryan Day wasn't gonna stay here too long. I always felt like once he won a national championship, he was gonna try to go to the league. So I feel like that's be the only way he get his revenge if he go to the league and meet Ryan Harbaugh.
Yeah,
Like,
right. He goes and coaches the Raiders or some shit, and just like specifically, I'm only taking the job. I'm only taking the job if it's in the AFC West against Harbaugh and the Chargers. Otherwise, I'm here for one thing.
no, that would be funny. That would be funny. You said you had children in college, and one joke that you had that I really love. You have a joke about how you have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 3-year-old. How do you approach writing jokes when it's about family members, or people that you know?
You always gotta look for jokes work because there's got to be conflict. It's the same thing with art. It's the same thing with movies and TV shows. There has to be a conflict for a joke to work. So my conflict is having the age discrepancies of my kids. So anything that's happening in my life for the comedy to come out, I look for the conflict, even if it's exaggerated mostly or even just made up. But for jokes to work, it's got to be conflict. So talking about my family, the same rule applies. Where's the conflict?
Yeah, I never thought about it like that before. I wrote that down. The conflict, and the conflict is where the funny is at. Okay, okay. Was you mad or excited when you found out about your third kid? Like that's a big age difference.
Oh, he was the only one that was playing, to be real. If I'm keeping it honest, it's the other two motherfuckers. Those two life ruiners.
Do your kids like your older all your kids period, do they like brag about you as being their father? I mean, having a father, a comedian as a father, traveling the
I don't
world.
know. I would, that's probably going too far to say that they brag about me, but
Yeah,
they also don't run away from it. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I think there's, like, if they're talking with their homies and their homies are like, they are talking about what their parents do, and it could drop that I do stand up, like,
yeah,
that's gonna automatically, they're gonna always have an icebreaker.
yeah,
They're gonna always have a way. At least I know that I've given them a way to have an icebreaker with the honeys.
yeah.
Like, dude, what do you mean you can't? Your dad's a comic. You can't find a way to sneak that into conversation. But we go back to my place and watch my daddy make fun of me.
How is it? How is it? Different raising your older kids as to compared to your younger kids, not just with society, but also with how you grind it with doing comedy.
Yeah, man, it gets tough when I'm on the road. Here's the one thing I've always, like, I've learned is, like, I'm never gone more than 7 days, ever, ever. If I got 4 days and then I go someplace for another 4 days, like, I'll come home for 2 days and then bounce. I won't just stay on the road. I'll always come home. So that's one way of doing it. But yeah, there's just a different generation. Like, now, like, these kids, all they have is, like, days off of school. Like, they just got days off for no fucking reason. It's like, what do you mean? It's Tuesday. Like, it's Tuesday. And then daycares are like, you can't put kids in daycares. It's like, what talking about? This can't grab my kid. That's my jerk off day. That's the day I sit around and just jerk off. And now I gotta fucking grab my kid. The fuck? But other than that, like, yeah, man, it's great. Like, you just got to lean into it, man. It's
Yeah,
Parenting can be so fun and rewarding if you lean into it, but if you like, oh, these kids messing with my career, you
yeah,
doing it wrong, dog. Cause now you ain't even gotta. It's so easy. Like, before, it's like, you gotta move to New York, you gotta move to LA. No, you don't. All you gotta do is kill social media.
yeah,
All you gotta do is just keep cranking out bits on social media, and then they'll find you.
yeah,
And I'm this coming from a guy that's horrible at social media, but I'm like one of those dudes that's built in where, I get club work and stuff because I've been working the clubs and I've been grinding, and they know what I'm capable of, and I got enough credits to justify, and they
uh-huh.
know that I write, and they know that I won't come in with the same old act. They know, so I got those things working for me. But you could be in wherever, dog. North Dakota, you could be in Columbus, you could be in Mississippi, as long as your camera work and you can create some content that's engaging, it don't matter.
How was it back then? Because I did see that you were in, like I said, the last comic standing for NBC. You made it all the way to the semifinals. How
Mhm.
was it back then, where you had to do competitions or do festivals, get your name out there, as opposed to now you just click a button?
Listen, everybody should still do competitions and festivals because you got to measure and see where you're at. I encourage that. Like, you just got to you need a measuring stick. You just need to make sure what you're doing is right because you don't have anyone really to critique you. You're on the road by yourself. You're the writer, the director, the producer, the star of all of it. So when it goes wrong, it's on you. So you need to go out there and get in some competitions and learn how to craft a short set and be to the point, be efficient, be word economizer, and make sure your shit flows. Otherwise, you're doing guesswork. And so I think for a lot of young comics, entering competitions is a healthy thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I started doing competitions about probably 2 years ago, and every year I go, I notice that I I get better, and that's just the goal for me. It's just to get better, get further along in the competition. And so no, I do agree. Do you find like that's the best networking uh possibility that you guys had back then, and how is it different now with social media? On a DM.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's all of the above, man. You just can't limit yourself. You can't just be like, I'm just going to do competitions and try to make you do competitions. Uh, you try to hit up mics, showcases, and you just and you go, and then you challenge yourself. Like if you're the funniest person, if you're the funniest person in the room, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're the funniest person in the room, get the fuck out of that room. Go to another room that's where there's gonna be funnier people.
What how does being around? I mean, I feel like when you want to be something, you should be around that. Like if I'm broke and I want to be rich, and I should be around rich people. What
Ah,
does
that's depressing. No, thank you. I'll hang around with some poor people, please. We can go half on this bag of cheddar sour cream potato chips and get ourselves a 2 liter cherry jolly good, and we can snack. Talk about what's gonna happen when we make it, but I ain't.
What does being around somebody funnier than you? What does that do for you?
Mm. I went and saw last night. I went and saw Dwayne Kennedy, who's been around for a minute. Just super funny, just a super dope writer. I go and hang out with people uh, that's really funny for validation. I don't go there to be like, yo, let me see if this guy's funnier than me. I don't even look at it like that. I just go and see and appreciate what they're doing. And then I go and I look at it and I think about what it is that I'm doing. And then like, there's definitely comics out there that push me, that make me go, all right, this is where we at. Okay. But I don't, because you can't, think it's hard to be successful. It's hard to be successful if you're constantly going, who's funnier than me? Who's funnier than me? Because the only thing that matters is the people that's in front of you, that's there to watch you perform. And it's up to you to do your set and listen back to it and see, are the laughs there?
Hmm.
Are the laughs there? Are you getting laughs to a point where you like, fuck, let's go?
Hmm.
Or are you getting laughs that gets by and you're just like, oh, like how do I get harder laughs? How do I
Yeah.
get more laughs? And that's the truest measuring stick. But yeah, there's comics out there
What
that
what
that push me.
what comedians influence you before you got in the game, and what comedians influence you now?
Oh gosh. Now, like, not, there's certain things that I see people do that I go, all right, I like how they did that. I like how they make sure they get everything out of their jokes that they can. But as far back, like, shit, I still think Chris Rock has the best ever comedy special and Bring the Pain. I still think Chappelle's the most engaging. I still think Eddie Murphy is pound for pound the funniest person on the planet if you take everything into consideration. I think he stopped doing stand up at 27. I don't even know if he had found his voice yet in stand up. I think he could have been better at stand up, but he became a movie star. I still, so those guys, and then the Def Comedy Jam is when I started watching it and I started thinking that I could do that.
Hmm.
Uh, So it's like, yeah, so shows like that. But I tell people, like, stand up is not like a Craigslist where you just like, I'm trying to find a job. Or I hear stand up comedy's hiring. Like it's in you.
Yeah.
Like it's in you. It's legit. It's calling you.
Mm-hmm.
And you might not understand what it is that's calling, but it's calling you. And as you get around it and get closer, that call gets louder, or that light flashing gets brighter. And so you gotta take your shot. So lots of lots of influences, I guess, from that standpoint. But like, even if they weren't, even if they weren't around, I never discovered them, I still would have did stand up because it was calling me.
Yeah.
You just process information. Comics get the same information everyone else does. We just process it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Were you scared when you were nervous when you felt that call, or were you like, fuck it, here we go?
Of course. Of course. You should be. I mean, you know, you should have nerves, like you should have an adrenaline to push you, but you shouldn't have it so much where you can't perform. That's what get some people get so nervous that they can't perform. So you should always be able to perform. Um, there's so many people, and you probably know there's so many people that's so fucking funny, but they can't ever get comfortable on stage, and therefore they can never make it as a stand-up comic because their performance is so uncomfortable because they're so uncomfortable, and it makes the audience uncomfortable, and that's just a bad formula.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that you have two specials. One is a dry bar, clean and unfiltered. That one has 7 million views, and then you release one on YouTube that's God's work, with 42K views. One may look at one or the other and be like, "Oh, this one's not as successful, or whatever." What's your measure of success when you do a special?
um, I guess, are you like the one I had that got all the views was because I had a vehicle driving it.
Hmm.
And this one that I had, I didn't really have a vehicle driving it. I just, I basically dropped it with Helium Comedy Club, and I don't even think they even changed the production company. They're not even called Helium Comedy Club Studios anymore. It's called something else. And so they just didn't have like the big drive that the other one did. But I think, um, if you just took away the words and just played the laugh track, I think they're pretty equal.
Hmm.
So one's got 7 million. It was pushed as clean comedy, so a lot more people watched it, and the other one was just a regular club set of me just being trying to be funny and tell my point of view, and some of it's clean and some of it's not, and it didn't get the traction, but I I'm very happy with both of them. They're like they're just like both my children. Just one is just a fucking doctor, and the other one is fucking a manager at Chick-fil-A.
I like how different both of them are, because I just feel like somebody might look at Eddie Murphy and be like, okay, your first comedy special was like my favorite, but his favorite set may be something that we've never heard of in a club that he might like, this is my best work. So that's what I was looking at it from a perspective, like which one would you like? Yeah, this one, but both of them. Yeah, that's totally cool. Do you plan on doing, well, obviously you plan on doing a third one. How do you prepare for like a special?
I'm not in a rush to do a third one. I think now I got two specials out, but I got like 5 albums out,
Hmm.
5 comedy albums. So I don't even know if I'll put out a special. I might just release it on clips. With that, the next thing I do, I'm probably just gonna do it all like just all me. I'm just gonna just do it myself and maybe hire a marketing team, maybe or something like that. But it's gonna be all like all me, and that's that I'll do it that way. But I might just release clips and stuff. I don't know. I probably got probably like 30, 35 minutes of new shit that I really, really like. But I probably got 50, 55 minutes of I just got to map it out and hash out the punchlines and stuff. But yeah, I don't I'm not sure what when it's ready, then I'll have an idea. But until that time comes, I just I'm still in the lab. I'm still in
Yeah.
the lab creating content. So
As we start to wrap this up, always I like to end it with three questions. So my first question would be, who is on your Mount Rushmore for comedy?
mm, comedy, like stand up.
Stand up or any form of comedy.
I mean, uh, so I look at it. First of all, my Mount Rushmore definition is different than everybody else's. My Mount Rushmore is I think is the way it's intended to be. So like the Mount Rushmore, the four presidents are not necessarily the four best presidents. It's the it's the four presidents that was most important in moving society forward. So that's what so like when people ask me like my Mount Rushmore of basketball, and then when I give them the four most important players, they're like because they're always like, wait, how do you not have this guy? I was like, I know that they're one of the four best, but
Yeah.
they're not the most four important players. So for that, I mean, it's it's easily it's easily prior. It's easily prior. It's sadly easily Cosby. Uh, um, even though he's not, even though he's not my cup of tea,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't my cup of tea. I would have to consider uh, Robin Williams. I mean, just because people forget like he did Mork and Mindy, he did he did uh, he did movies, so he was like one of those dudes that opened up doors for the comics. You could put Bob Newhart in there. Like I don't. It's so many that's in there, and then I wouldn't want to exclude Eddie Murphy. So I'm probably giving you a whole bunch of people that could be on there for different reasons because with art like that, it's they all move the needle forward in their own time. But if you look at it, the amount that they move the needle is all pretty much the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Richard Pryor moved the needle, but Lenny Bruce moved the needle, and Seinfeld in his way, like the success of his television sitcom, right? Cosby moved the needle. They all moved the needle, but they all moved it kind of like the same length. So, Bob Newhart is crazy. Once again, not really my cup of tea, but also, motherfucker had two comedy albums out at the same time. They were like both number ones. Like
Yeah.
that's, and then his TV show, he cranked out two all-time TV shows. So what does that do for the game of comedy? Even if you're not a fan of that comedy, it still opened doors to let people know if this comic is successful, we could build a TV show around this comic. So how is that not moving the needle for us, even though it ain't the style of comedy we fuck with?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's hard to say. I mean, I give you like when it comes to my Mount Rushmores, I'm always about that with sports, but actually in my own profession, there's so many people that I could just give it up to that I would rather not even give like the Mount Rushmore, but I could just I like I said, I'll stick with my Chris Rock has the funniest special I've ever seen. Richard Pryor has the best body of work. Dave Chappelle is the most engaging, and Eddie Murphy is pound for pound the funniest human being that's ever lived. And so I'll stick with that for that way.
What words of encouragement could you give to any comedian that's listening to this right now?
What words of encouragement?
Yeah.
Fucking like write and get up on stage. Just that's the gig.
Yeah.
You write and you get up on stage, and people always just like, "Oh man, I got so much. I got books and books of material." Crazy, because every week I see you, you doing the same five. That's so crazy that you sitting on all that comedy gold and you just keep cranking out that same five, homie. That's so weird. So
Kevin, tell people why they should listen to comedians in bed.
I mean, it's just like it's just two comics shooting the shit. Just talking shop. We talk shop. So if you want to know, if you're interested in the comedy and you want to listen and know a little bit about the game, listen. If you want to know a little bit about how to get into the business, listen. I mean, you're a fan of comedy. It's a nice little hang.
Kevin, tell people where they can find you at.
KevinBozeman.com for tour dates. Um, Kevin Bozeman for my YouTube page, and Kevin Bozeman one for Instagram.
Thank you guys for tuning in for this week. If you want to catch next week's episode, we always drop live Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every week. Be sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe on our on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and then also follow us on IG at Comedians in Bed Podcast. Man, we'll see you guys next week for sure. But Kevin, we want to thank you for joining our show today, everybody.
No.
Definitely see you guys next week.